The sequel trilogy is being retconned by Disney as we speak.
Make everyone forget
about the sequel trilogy.
I've got this totally under control.
But let's not forget about the dozens of sets as we take a look at the best and worst sets from the sequel films.
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
Of course we have some honorable mentions, but let's talk about the 4+ sets. These didn't always exist, and became a new addition to the LEGO Star Wars waves during the sequel trilogy era. Look, these sets aren't made for you and I
like turtles.
Alright!
And I think it's unfair to compare them to other sets on this list, but I will single out the Resistance X-Wing Fighter. Everything about this set is just wrong. The build is inaccurate, and the price per piece is way off.
You greedy pig.
It's also worth mentioning that all the battle packs for these movies are not so good. None of them really stand out as bad though, but I'm really shocked that BB-8 didn't make my top 5. I think BB-8 is an underrated character and is one of the redeeming qualities of the sequel films. And this set recreated him perfectly, with several features including a pop-out lighter just like in the movies, and even a minifig scaled BB-8. Another set that should be in the top 5, as it's one of the most underrated Star Wars sets out there, and that's the Resistance Bomber. This particular ship gets a lot of flack from Star Wars fans, as it was shoehorned into The Last Jedi. Looking past that though, this set is awesome. It has a really solid build, awesome play features, and great minifigures.
You're doing great. Yes, it's so good.
The Basana Speeder Chase is actually a decent set, but I'm giving it an honorable mention for the worst because it's based on probably the worst scene in all of Star Wars. I know, I'm that salty.
Oh, they fly now!
They fly now?
Shut up!
A set that does deserve a mention for the worst is the Resistance Transport Pod. I'm sure there's some people out there that like this set, but it's pretty boring to me. The minifigures are reasonable at best, and it's a bit overpriced for what you get.
Hello, I like money.
And at the same price tag, with even less pieces, is Octo Island Training. But this set does it right, with solid minifigures, a surprisingly nice rockwork build with a bunch of details, and rounding out the honorable mentions is the First Order Star Destroyer, which is an incredible set. I will admit, at first glance, the ship looks a bit funny, but once you get over that, you really see how much was put into this set. The minifigs are great, the design is near perfection, but what I really appreciate about this set is the interior, which is completely fleshed out with details. A feature that I think all Star Destroyers should have.
This is a major key alert.
Here are my top 5 best and worst sequel trilogy sets. Let's start with the best, and a personal favorite at that, with the Resistance A-Wing. Aside from the UCS A-Wing, this is the best build out there, and the one-of-a-kind color scheme makes it really stand out. Just look at how smooth and clean it looks. I think this set deserves more attention.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me!
This next set doesn't need any help getting attention, because just look at how fierce it looks. Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter is intimidating as intimidating gets. I guess it's true. You can find the positives in just about anything, because without the sequel films, we wouldn't have gotten these super menacing dark ships, and we will see another one coming up later. Let's jump over to the worst list, and kicking it off is Duel on Starkiller Base. You might find some of these worst picks to be somewhat decent, but don't worry, they get pretty bad, and you might actually like this set, but I don't. The snow aesthetic is kinda nice, but that's all I have good to say. It seems LEGO was going for a diorama-esque build here, which is something that I think definitely really works for LEGO Star Wars, but this set just doesn't pull it off, mixing in play features that make this a confusing mess.
Look at you are a mess.
Kylo Ren's command shuttle is unfortunately earning a spot on my worst list. This set was just poorly designed. The wings pretty much stay in this upright position, which is a really odd choice, and the color scheme is as bland as can be. Luckily, LEGO remade the set a couple years later, and it's taking a spot on my best list, but will it rank number 1?
Look how old you've become.
It's time to kick off the top 3 best sets, starting with the First Order Transporter from 2015. This is an all-around great LEGO Star Wars set. The only thing keeping this from being higher is the length of the transporter. It's a bit shorter than what we see in the movies, but man oh man, the minifigures. First off, you get Captain Phasma, which is just an awesome looking figure, a couple Resistance soldiers, but most importantly you get 4 stormtroopers, which is something that you don't see in other similar size sets, like the ATTE or the Turbo Tank, so it was kind of surprising to see, but definitely appreciated. Thanks LEGO.
I got you, homie.
And my runner-up for the best set is Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle, the remake. LEGO improved every aspect of this ship, perfected the color scheme, and fixed the wing problem as I mentioned earlier. This is one of the best sets to come out of the sequel movies, but there's one set that got the edge. But first, let's check out the top 3 worst. And the battle on Takodana rightfully deserves a spot. Not a terrible set by any means, but LEGO dropped the ball on the price. $60 for a 400-piece set is pretty crazy. And on top of that, the build isn't exactly inspired. What a shame.
Shame. Shame.
Taking the number 2 spot for the worst set is the Heavy Scout Walker. This set was based on concept art from The Last Jedi, which never made the final cut of the film. It's a really goofy looking build, and I think there's a reason it was scrapped from the movie.
Boo! Boo!
Poe's X-Wing fighter is the best from the sequel trilogy. This was remade a few times, but this is by far the best version. The color scheme is truly one of a kind. It makes me wonder why LEGO doesn't experiment more with colors like this in their original content. This might be a controversial number 1 pick for some.
It is what it is.
But I don't care, I just love it that much. And a not so controversial pick for the worst set to come from the sequels is the First Order AT-ST. This set is absolutely atrocious and is commonly referred to as the worst Star Wars set ever made. I've made quite a few videos on the worst sets, and this one seems to always make an appearance.
Oh, here we go again.
Check out the best and worst sets from Revenge of the Sith.